Today I'm sharing how to restain a wood fence with a roller. Before I get into the steps of how to restain a fence, you might be wondering, well, how often do I need to restain? And that really does depend on your climate and what stain you used before, but a general rule of thumb is 3 to 5 years. And you can just pay attention to your fence and see when it looks like it needs it. Mine was looking very dry and it wasn't repelling the water like it should be, so that's when I determined that I needed new stain applied to it, and mine was after 3 years. The first time I stained this fence, I did use a sprayer, and I have a tutorial all about applying that stain. And I do also have another video that talks about the pros and the cons between the two, between the spraying and the rolling. So if you are curious or you're debating between the two, you can watch that video. I'll provide the link for both of those videos below in the description. I am using the same stain again that I used the first time when I stained my fence, and that stain is called Ready Still, and I used the natural cedar color. And so if you can see it behind me right now, this is a year after I stained it, so you can kind of see the difference between the video and how wet it looks between the natural look after it's dried and had time to sit. I really like this stain also because you don't have to worry about any streaks. It's a goof-proof type of stain, so that's the nice thing, you can start staining in one spot, skip ahead to a different spot and come back and you'll have no lines. So I do like that about this stain. To apply the stain with the roller, you will need a paintbrush, so it's not just one tool. You do need a paintbrush to get into those areas that are hard to get into. You'll also want to make sure that the weather is in your favor. You want about 3 to 5 days, depending on the size of your fence, you might need more, of no rain in the forecast. And your weather needs to be between 50 to 80 degrees, but I would check the manufacturer's instructions on your can of stain that you're using because it could be different. But that is kind of a general rule of thumb again, so just to give you a heads up with that. Before you can stain, you do have to do some prep work, and the first thing that you're going to want to do is clean your fence. And this can be done with a hose with a high sprayer nozzle attached to it, or a power washer. Obviously, the power washer will give you a better clean, and if you are using a different stain than what was previously stained, you'll want the power washer to try to get off as much of that as possible. You may have to do another process or another step with that, but I am using the exact same stain that I used before, so I am not doing that and I'm not showing that in this tutorial. After you've cleaned your fence, you're going to let it sit for 24 hours to allow it to dry. After that, you do need to protect areas that you don't want drips from the stain. So this would be vegetation, this would be grass, this would be concrete. Anything underneath the fence is what you're basically trying to protect. And that's about all the coverage protection that you're gonna need because you don't have to worry about overspray. So that's what we would do, and then we'll move forward. I started staining between the boards where the roller couldn't get to with the paintbrush. You'll notice that I'm breaking the boards into different sections, so I did just the top section, and then later I came back to the bottom section. I was able to do this because of my stain, but if I was using a stain that didn't do this, I would have to start from the top to the bottom or the bottom to the top, one of the two. After the sides were coated, I rolled the tops with the roller. Then I moved on to rolling the stain on the front of the panels, and I just continued this on until the whole fence was stained. And that's the process of staining a fence with a roller. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to my channel.